See my name there?
TCC. TC, because I won't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Hold on.
And I'm
Y'all
going
was
to introduce you all to my beautiful
hold on.
All my grown folk out there, won't you gather around? Take a real good listen to Miss B-Town. She'll give you the real deal while showing you love. She was sent from heaven above, so check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you all the news that you can use and more. So check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you everything you want and more. Keep growing, keep showing. Those who are lost and have gone astray, keep blessing with life lessons. Show them the way, so check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you all the news that you can use and more. So check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you everything you want and more. So check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house. All the news that you can use and more. So check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house. Giving you everything you want and more. So check it out.
All right. Okay, Joyce, you want to grab that link and come up?
Hmm?
I was asking Joyce if she wanted to grab the link and
Oh,
come up. Hey,
oh, in
Nikki,
my other
baby.
area.
Hey, hello to everyone that is in here. Welcome to a special night in the Beehive. We have with us tonight Judge Lori Dumas. Now, I have the pleasure. When I got this phone call, I don't even know why she called me. She should have just went ahead and started planning it because I was excited. I
Hey, Miss
instantly got
B
nervous.
Town. Hey,
Hey, love, thank you
TC.
for coming.
Hey, Judge Lori Dumas.
Hi.
Where Nicole go?
I don't know where she went. She tips out on me
Be
sometimes.
back.
She gets me
There
Hey,
she is.
started and then
I
she
Todd.
got her.
leaves.
Hey,
I got her. And
hey,
good.
Nikki
That puts you in the
baby.
perfect
Hey,
place.
Heaven
there you
Sent.
go.
There she is.
Hey,
Okay,
chat.
now somebody, I hear
All
some
right.
feedback, so I need somebody to close. Sounds like you may have the YouTube window open. Close the YouTube window to see the StreamYard window open. Oh, look at the girl.
Hey,
I
Nicole.
got the call from the one we know as TC Winfrey, HBCU Queen, the judge of the YouTube street. Okay? Why she bothered to call me to ask me, I don't know.
That is so
She knew
cute.
the answer, what the answer was going to be. Okay? All right. So, for the people that don't know who TC is, I'll just call her TC. We'll leave it at that. I'll let her give her government if she chooses to. But she's director of community engagement at the office of Sherelle L. Parker, Ninth District Councilman. At you. Oh, I don't know about giving out that. Well, at 1503 C Z Wadeworth Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19150. If you care for that number or that email, please contact me. I have the information or contact TC. I have no problem with giving it to you if I know you have good intentions. Okay? From this point, I will pass the gavel to TC and she'll take it from there. You on mute, babes. Unmute, babes.
Okay. All right. I thank you, Miss B Town. This is really a pleasure. It's an honor and a privilege to be here again tonight. We were supposed to be on last night, right, Lori? Judge, and thank you to Nicole. Thank you so much. And we were supposed to be with Joyce. She's here with us, but we're gonna revisit that at some point in time. But we're here. And thanks, Joyce, for coming here. But we're gonna revisit that. Thank you, Miss B Town. This is an honor and a privilege for me to be able to introduce to you all someone who is absolutely an amazing sister. All right. We've known each other for enough years. It doesn't matter because we don't look it, but we've known each other for a while. And let me just say this: anytime this young lady has just kept it real, kept it 100, even with the judgeship, she has always been just a very regular, fine person. And at the same time, she has always been a role model. She's been very serious and she's been very fair. And she always kept in contact with the community. Anytime I needed her for anything, she was always there. So I just want to say thank you. I want to say clap, clap, clap to Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. You keep everybody together. Clap, clap, clap. Thank you for the mods down in the chat. All my mod sisters and brothers. Thank you. We're gonna have a mod union because mod lives matter, okay? But anyway, and without any further ado, someone who this is an honor to introduce, the one, the only, Judge Lori A. Dumas. Hey, how you doing, Judge?
Hey, Judge. All right.
Let me unmute myself here. Hey, TC.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Good evening,
and
everyone.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. First of all, I have no idea what a mod is. That's number one. So I'm here for an education. You guys have to help me. Judge Dumas is a little, I'm a little on the seasoned side. So that's why I wasn't here last night, because I could not get this platform working. But thanks to my girl, my ace from high school, Nicole, who helped bring me up to the 21st century with UTC. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share with your audience. So I am from Philadelphia. I consider myself to be a home girl first. Born and raised in Philly. I am not an implant. I the judgeship is something that really just it's what I do, but it's not who I am. I'm just a regular round the way girl. I was born, my mom was a single parent because, of course, our household broke up, unfortunately. And, she didn't have an education. She raised, the three of us, my sister, my brother, and I'm the youngest of three. She raised us on her own because she had to. My mom was older. So my mom was just about 39, almost 40 when she had me. So my brother and sister, I really grew up as an only child because they were much older. And, so she instilled in me the character of hard work, of perseverance, of determination, but also never, ever forgetting where you came from, never thinking you were better than anyone, and making sure that we never, ever escaped an opportunity to give back. And that is that's who I am. I went to public school up until high school. Then I became a Catholic school girl. Went to Sicilian Academy here, and then, off to college, law school, and then I came back home and I served my community because, being away it was for a purpose. It was to get the education, but it was to bring that back and to bring it back to, everybody that I had gone to school with, their family members, because when I came back from law school, everybody I knew had a legal issue. And so I learned how to be a lawyer by serving, people that I knew, their family members, and it was just a village. It was a community. And I was able to really give back to a community that gave to me as I grew up. And so here I am, right? Here I am, a judge for now almost 20 years. And, some days I feel like it was like yesterday, like I'm still a young chippy. And some days I feel like I am very seasoned, which is what I am. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Judge, you mentioned something about, where you went to school. And I know that you are a real supporter of the HBCU family. We see
Yep.
each other in and around the parts. Now, share with us your education, if you don't mind, and if you were a part of any organizations as well, or what organizations you joined.
Sure. So I went to Duke undergrad, and you know that Duke is not an HBCU, but I went to North Carolina Central School of Law, which is an HBCU. So I got to experience both, but my time at Duke, I actually spent the majority of my time at North Carolina Central, which is how I ended up going to law school there.
Of
So,
course.
but
Okay,
I,
come
I
through,
am
North Carolina.
Yay! I am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I pledged as a sophomore at Duke University in 1987. But I also, even though it was a white institution, or what they call PWI, because they didn't call it that then, but PWI now,
Right.
we always, the Black people that were there always looked for, us, where our culture was. So the Black Student Union, all of the activities that really drew us together and allowed us to support each other and to uplift each other in an environment that wasn't necessarily for us. So that experience was, it wasn't an HBCU, but we made it, what we could. And then what we couldn't get from there, we stole from Central when we went about 10 minutes away across the road and hung out with our people over
Exactly.
there. Yep.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I remember that. I was, I'm North Carolina A&T, so Central was
Yeah.
one of our biggest. Yes, we had that Aggie Eagle Classic.
Yep.
This B Town, about that.
Still to this
Uh-huh.
day.
Very good.
Still to
Yes,
this day.
and Nicole,
XU in the
about it
house.
too.
XULA, Xavier in the house.
Okay,
Yes.
that's Nicole, y'all. She's it's Xavier. She's representing Xavier. That's what's up.
There you
Um,
go, Nicole. And I'm glad you joined us, Nicole. Because I didn't want Nicole
yeah.
and Joyce. Speak, Joyce. Joyce hasn't said anything. You
Hey,
nervous?
Joyce,
Where'd
where'd
she go?
she
No,
go?
she popped off. Maybe she come back.
Oh,
Maybe her internet was
she'll probably come right back.
probably was her
So,
internet. It's
so
not good.
So you have any questions, Ms. B Town? I
Oh, of
asked
course.
the judge about her education, and and what was it that you wanted to ask her in reference to the judgeship where you're sitting right now, where she's sitting right now?
Hey, I'm
Okay.
sorry about that. I clicked myself off. Hey, everybody. Hey, chat. Stop.
I know for a fact that George had a question last night that I do want her to get that question answered right now.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question was, how relevant is the Black Law Book dictionary? How relevant is that in like today's, like, do you practice actually from that law book?
So the you're talking about the Black's Law Dictionary. So
Yes.
the Black's Law
Right.
Dictionary is like the staple of every law student. Every young person that goes to law school, or every person, because everybody's not young that goes to law school, but
Mm-hmm.
that's like the staple because it has, terms, legal terms. It helps you to be able to write like a lawyer. And anybody who,
Right.
I don't know if there's any institution that does not require Black's Law Dictionary in the first year, I would definitely question their program. I still have my Black's Law Dictionary in my chambers.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Oh wow.
so my original one. I didn't buy a new one. The one I had in law school many moons ago, and it is that. So it's like if you think about what we used to use a dictionary for, because I'm not really sure if many of us know what a dictionary, but we in my generation we used a dictionary that actually was a book, and when we
Right.
needed to find what things meant, we went into that hard copy of a dictionary. Well, Black's Law Dictionary is that, but it is just legal terms, so you won't have regular words, all terms that are utilized in legal writing. And it is a resource that is necessary, that is very useful. And because as like I said, I started law school in 1985, no, 89.
Mm-hmm.
So you know and I remember it. I remember its usefulness, and I would never have made it through legal writing without it. So it is used. I don't know how many lawyers use it. I refer to it every now and then. I think I really have it there for nostalgia. But
Mm-hmm.
when my law clerks come in, I make sure that if they don't have their own, that they use mine.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's actually applicable. It's not something that uh lawyers and judges don't use. I was under the impression that it's something that isn't that black people don't have access to.
Really?
Mhm.
No.
So was I, Joyce.
Yeah,
No. Black's Law Dictionary is just it's a dictionary of legal terms. No.
Okay.
Wow. Is that, this is
Wow.
the first time I ever heard that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Is
Yeah.
Black somebody's last name?
Black is somebody's last name. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Are you now maybe you guys are speaking about something else,
No,
but the
that
Black's Law Dictionary is just that. It's that. And if I had known that I was going to get this question, I would have had mine right here so I could show you. No,
oh,
it's just a book that, yeah, it's a book used for legal writing. Um, so I'm not sure where that myth came from, but I like having these conversations because sometimes there are things that are perpetuated in our community that are just not true.
right.
Right.
That
No.
So
question because I was certainly under the impression that it was something, it's jargon that African Americans don't know about, and that actual book is used. It goes over our heads. We have no access to it. Um, you know,
Only in the judicial system.
right.
so let me do
Right.
this. So Nicole, who I told you is my ace, right?
Hmm.
Her nickname is FBI.
Oh,
And we call her that because she is on that phone right now looking up, trying to find what the heck what y'all talking about. Because it
okay.
ain't Black's Law Dictionary. But we're gonna see if what we're gonna put those search terms in, and we're gonna see if something like that
We're gonna see it.
exists. Yeah, we're gonna look it up and see. But it's not Black's Law Dictionary. Maybe it's something else. And so I'm gonna have FBI look at it and see if she can find something while we're talking. But
Oh,
what I will say, you found something? You on mute.
She on mute, babe.
Yeah.
I'm already checking to see if I can find something with
All right.
that.
So what I will say is that as it relates to things that are not available for Black people, and sometimes a lot of the knowledge that we should have, or that would really help us to understand history, and so the past and the future, like where we're from and where we're going,
hmm.
Mhm.
is written, right? And it's a written form. And we
Right.
really have
Right.
to take the time to read in order to understand who we are, where we've been, and where we're going. We
Okay.
can't rely on the things that people tell us, because
Right.
that's interpretation. right?
True.
And you know, sometimes when we hear things, and by the time it gets from person 1 to person 100, that
Right.
whole thing is totally turned around, right? And so
Yes.
I encourage us, and it's not easy. And I, you know, my husband gets on me all the time because he reads much more than I do, but I get my education a lot from him, from his reading. But he would prefer, and he's right, for me to get it for myself. And
Okay.
we don't sometimes, because life is so busy. And for me, I read a lot for work. So it's, you know, when I was younger, I used to love to read junk. I read fiction when I
Mm-hmm.
was in law school, because that was my relief, right? My retreat. But I don't even get
Mm-hmm.
time to do that anymore because I have so much I have to read for work. And
Right.
so, you know, I have to intentionally make time to read things that enrich my understanding about
Yeah.
things that are relevant to me and my journey, to our culture, to help me to be the best me that I can be. So
That's
we
all
have to
right.
do that. We have to make time to do that. We do.
Right.
Because I think that if we did that more and we were able to share that more with our children,
Mm-hmm.
they would be much better off because they would know the
Agree.
richness and the
Right.
history that they come from. And they would
Yes.
understand that, you know, nothing is impossible, who they are, you know, what their journey is
Thank you.
supposed to be, you know, all of that stuff that really, you know, would help them with their self pride,
Mm-hmm.
um, as opposed to what we see now, which is self hatred
Mhm.
lots of times. And it's
Most
because they don't have the knowledge about who
Right.
they are.
the
Okay,
ignorant.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
To what extent have you practiced in your area of criminal law, family law, or complex civil legislation?
I've done all of that, my sister. I've done
Probably
all of
more than
that.
this, right?
I, I started.
Plenty.
I started in family court. Then I went to adult. I went to adult criminal, and now I'm in civil. So I've done it all. And you know, for me, it's been. I don't know if I said in the beginning. I've been on the bench for 19 years, and so I've had the opportunity to really hone my skills, to really learn the law in all of those different areas, and to you know, and that takes time. It's not something that you learn overnight. You know, I came to the bench with, you know, a certain legal experience, but, you know, being here, you know, and learning, you know, day in and day out, you know, because there's always something new to learn when it comes to the law. And that's what I really
Yeah.
like about the law. There's always
No, that's
something new, and
true.
laws are always changing, right? You know, and then
Yes.
what we do as judges, we have that, there's the law, but then we take the facts and we apply them to the law, right? And we
Oh,
do that when there's not a jury. So if there's a jury, that's the job of the jury. But when it's a judge, we actually are doing that. And and
Mm.
so when we're applying the facts to the law, and this is why it's so important to make sure you know who you're voting for as it relates to judges and who you put in these
Yes.
seats, because
mhm.
my interpretation of the law and what how I'm applying the law to the facts are determined by who I am.
Right. Based off of your perception, your bring up,
Mhm.
even your
Hmm.
religious
Right.
background.
Mhm.
Upbringing.
Mhm.
Yes. That's right,
Now, do
Joyce.
you
Exactly.
believe that
Exactly.
do you
Exactly.
believe that there is a such thing as victimless crimes? If so, what offenses would you place in those categories?
Sure, there are definitely like there. So when I did juvenile court, so victimless crimes would be stuff like truancy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's stuff like you know, honestly, jaywalking is a victimless crime, right? You know, I mean,
Yes.
I was thinking that.
possession of
I was
marijuana
thinking that.
is a, you know, is a victimless crime, right? And
My
so
son,
every jurisdiction has different ways of handling those types of cases. You know, you have cases where people are criminalized for not being able to pay their fines and costs,
Right.
right?
right.
That's clearly a victimless crime. And so, you know, there has been a movement afoot to, you know, end cash bail, because what we in effect do, as it relates to cash bail and criminalizing people for not being able to pay fines and costs, you're really criminalizing them for being poor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Right.
so we what we do is we create what used to be called debtor's prison.
Right.
Right. And because you have people sitting in prison because they can't
Because they
pay.
can't
And
pay.
so there are movements, across the nation to address those types of situations which really penalize poor people. And I think it's necessary. I think that it is, I think it definitely is something that will help us to decrease, our jail populations. Because jail,
Yes.
everybody doesn't need to be in jail. I mean,
Right.
there are so many different options and so
Thank
many
you.
different ways that you can address, these victims, victimless crimes, as you say, or even, different crimes that may even have a victim, just depending on what it is. Do some people need to go to jail? Sure. Absolutely.
Yes.
Unfortunately, yes. But does that result have to be the same for everyone? The answer is no. The answer is no,
Right.
because every situation is different, and
Hmm.
judges have to, first and foremost, look at the law, rule according to the law, sentence according to the law. But when there is gray area or where there's an opportunity for a judge to utilize his or her discretion, then that's when they really need to dig deep to figure out what is the
Yes.
best for that person and for the community.
Okay. Okay.
So let me ask let me do this because I wanna talk about what you're here for. I call you Doc, but Judge, in reference to talking about, there are primaries coming up in all states
Mhm.
throughout the United States. And of course, we have various elections that are coming up throughout the United States. Oftentimes, we look at the presidency and the vice presidency, and all of those that which we just experience as, oh, that's it, and that's all I have to do. But no, these elections that are here right now are just as, or probably more important, because races like yours and others are affect us every day. I
Right.
want to get to that, but I want to ask you one question about what you just said in reference to discretion.
Mm.
So as an attorney, as a judge, you have this thing called discretion.
You do.
How what percentage, uh or how often can you use it, or when do you use it? How does it, and when do you usually apply it? If you
So
can, if you
it
can.
really depends on the situation, and what I try to tell people was that you have the law, like you have the black letter of the law, meaning like that this is the law. Like the law is, let's just say you don't cross the street on a red light. Let's just say that's the law,
Mm-hmm.
right? But there are some laws, and a lot of them, that have gray area, right? A lot of gray area. So if the law is don't walk across the street on the red light, does that mean the same if a person is in a wheelchair? Are they walking if they're in a wheelchair? What if they're crawling
Wow.
as opposed to walking? Does
Mm-hmm.
that mean the same thing? And
Right.
I'm oversimplifying it just so you can understand that
Okay.
how,
Okay.
how interpretations matter, right?
Yes.
You know, or,
Hmm.
on a red light, well, okay, well, what if the red light never changes? Does that mean that you never cross? Right.
Right.
And so
Right.
it's things like that, and this thing can get as complicated as our minds can actually take us as it relates to the different
Wow.
issues and what a judge has to face. So when you have a rule that's restrictive in a school, when you have a young person who goes to school with a book bag, and you have a 10-year-old with a pair of scissors in her book bag, a pair of art scissors, right? Technically, that is a prohibited weapon because it is not used right then and there for the purpose of something legal or for schoolwork. So
Right.
she's coming to school, or he's coming to school with the weapon, puts the bag on the on the thingy, the thing goes off, and it's like, oh, you have a weapon. So you're going to what? You're going to be arrested, because the law says when you come into a school with a prohibited weapon or something that can be used to hurt someone, then you are in violation of this particular penal code or criminal code. So you have to be arrested. And I'm actually citing an actual case that happened in the United States, right? As a matter of fact, it was a Philly case years ago. So when a judge gets that case, a judge has to say, okay, yes, the law says when you go into this school and you have something in your bag that can be detrimental to someone else, even though it's art scissors, you are in violation. Clear. However, a judge has the discretion to use common sense in that situation to say, okay, I've got a 10-year-old. I've got art scissors.
Right.
Was she really, she put those in there to come to school to hurt someone? Is it likely that she forgot they were in there? It was over the weekend. She could have been using them for an art project. She had a book bag. She put all her stuff there. She forgot it. Like, all of that is discretion. And so even though the law says a judge can decide that, you know what? Yeah, I know what the law is, but I'm hearing the circumstances of this situation, and it doesn't neatly fit in the confines of the law. And so I'm going to use my discretion, and I'm going to say not guilty.
Okay.
I hear, when you just said that, I hear loopholes.
Gray areas, loopholes, judicial discretion.
Okay. My question is, okay, I hear a term, ignorance of the law doesn't mean that you don't have to be accountable for it. But because there are so many laws on the books and we are humans just going about our everyday business, we're probably breaking thousands of laws and don't know it until someone calls us on it. So how is an everyday citizen that doesn't know the extent of how far the law goes, how do we protect ourselves?
Unfortunately, you know how you do it? By electing judges that will listen to their argument and use their discretion to give you leniency. I can remember having a case where there were some police officers that encountered this young person on a bicycle, and they stopped him, searched him, found contraband, arrested him, and he was in front of me for the contraband that they had found. And so in my mind, I'm hearing the evidence, and I'm saying to myself, I'm hearing them in what we call a motion to suppress. So it's a motion to suppress that was presented by the defense attorney, and the motion to suppress was asking me to look at the facts, look at the law, and rule that there was no probable cause for the officers to stop this kid. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm listening, and I'm right with the defense attorney, because I'm saying to myself, the kid was riding his bike. What did you stop him for? And then if you have no reason to stop him, then you have no reason to search him. And then everything that flows from that illegal stop is now tainted. It's illegal. It's you can't use that evidence against him.
Okay.
Well, you know what I didn't know? That in Philadelphia there is an ordinance where you cannot ride your bicycle on the sidewalk. I had no idea that was a law here. None. So I'm saying, I'm ready to rule, and then the prosecutor makes their argument, and that's the argument that the prosecutor made. And I said, well, where is that? He pulled out a copy of the ordinance, and he provided it to me. At that point, there was no discretion, because this young person was in, at that time, because the laws changed a little bit. But at that time, Clearly, they had a reason to stop him, and once they had a reason to stop him, they had a reason. They had authority to search him. Now the law is different now, but back then this was allowed. And so what I felt was the right thing to do was to say, you didn't have authority to stop him, because it made no sense to me that you stopped this kid on a bike. They absolutely did, according to the law. They had a right to stop him, and they had a right to search him, based upon the facts that were presented. And so, it's those kind of situations where you say ignorance of the law. Now, that kid probably had no idea that there was an ordinance in Philadelphia that said you cannot ride your bike on the sidewalk. I didn't even know. I didn't know. But that isn't an excuse. Unfortunately, it is not. So once again, though, you have to know the judges that are hearing these cases. Now, I would say in my head, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I understand that it's there to protect people, pedestrians who are on the sidewalk and all that kind of, I get it. I get it. But as it related to this particular motion to suppress, my hands were tied. Like I had no wiggle room there to do anything other than, to deny the motion. So then now it's like, okay, so how do I use my discretion now that I couldn't deny them? I could not grant the motion. But here we have this kid who was riding his bike, and he had, I don't know, probably with maybe some weed, So do I have to let that in? So now he is guilty of, possession. So now the question is, okay, I couldn't do anything as it relates to guilt or innocence, but now I have the discretion, furthermore, to do something next. What do I do? And so for me, in that situation, I would look at a kid, I look at his background or her background, school, family, all of those factors that impact a child's life, and make a decision of what happens next. And so for me, that was the beauty of juvenile court, is that I could do that every single time. Because once we got to that point, even if I had to find that kid guilty, I then had the authority, because there are no sentencing guidelines in Pennsylvania as it relates to juveniles in juvenile court. So I had the authority to say, okay, you stay home, you're on probation, no further penalty, you go to placement, whatever. And so I, once again, judicial discretion, could use my judicial discretion and say, you know what, I feel that was really harsh. Even though I couldn't change the ordinance, I couldn't change the fact that the officers had a right to stop you and search you. I couldn't change the fact that meant that you were guilty of possessing this marijuana or whatever it was. But I can decide what happens next.
Yes. Okay. I have and I just wow, thank you, Joyce, for that question. And I think that it really does a lot for, just the whole discretion talk, because and to have more of these discussions, Judge, because it's so important. So thank you for citing some examples to us. Ms. B-Town, I wanted to ask the judge some questions in reference to, we have something going on here, Judge. May the 18th here in Philadelphia, right? Oh, well, no, in Pennsylvania, actually, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Right.
And so you are right now a sitting judge, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I sit on our trial court level, common pleas. Yep.
For the Court of Common Pleas. And what's the Court of Common Pleas?
That's our trial court level, so that we sit right above our minor courts. So our minor courts are kind of like what people see on TV is maybe like the people's court, like landlord tenant court. They do our preliminary hearings. So everything that's sort of like the people's court, the same thing that you see on TV lots of times is what we consider our minor courts. Then the next step is the common pleas court level, which is where I sit, which is where you have all of your major trial divisions. And we hear, depending on which division to which you are assigned, you could hear family court cases, you could hear, adult criminal cases, you could hear civil cases, you could hear commerce cases, orphans court cases. So we have different divisions within the Court of Common Pleas, but that's your major trial division for the most part. And then from there,
Exactly.
we go up to our first level of appellate court, which is our Superior Court and our Commonwealth Court. They sit side by side. We call them sister courts. And we call them our intermediate appellate courts because right above that is then our state Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. So a lot of jurisdictions have different versions of this structure or this model.
Yes.
But this is in Pennsylvania, our first level of appellate courts are the Superior Court and the Commonwealth Court.
Yes. Yes. So you're sitting, you've been there for 20 years, 19 years.
Yes.
And she's been absolutely amazing, y'all. I've never been before her, just so you know. Never been before her. I might see her every now and then, at a nice Mother's Day function or something like that. But so now, what are your aspirations? Where are we going from here? What's going on May 18 here in the Pennsylvania?
So I am less than a week away from our election day, which is May 18th. It is a statewide race, which means that everyone in Pennsylvania will have an opportunity to vote for me. And it is the court that I am seeking to go to is a court that is so important to Pennsylvania. It actually is a court that is unique to Pennsylvania. No other court in the United States has a court like this. And it's a court where all governmental actions, anything involving the government or anything that is involved in the government goes to this appellate court, either as an appeal or sometimes, depending on the subject matter, as what we call, this court has original jurisdiction, so which means that it actually is also a trial court. So everything that's regulated in Pennsylvania the appeals go to this court. So regulated means, regulated by the state. Anything that has state regulations which permits it to exist. So utilities, banking, insurance, education of our children, the economy,
licenses,
workers' rights, professional licenses, nonprofit issues, right to know issues, election issues. Like there's so much that this court does. The things that really this court does not do are family court matters and criminal matters. So but it does hear, your state civil rights actions, in 1983 actions, which actually involves prisoners' rights. But it doesn't handle cases where if someone was found guilty of something and they appealed it, they appeal that to the Superior Court. We would not hear those. But this court impacts our day-to-day more than any other court in this Commonwealth because it impacts real issues that are not related to crime or are not related to, to family court. But it involves the characterization of our neighborhoods, through zoning laws and, as I said, banking, insurance, parole issues. I mean, just so many different things, workers' comp issues, the collective bargaining issues, that are fought about between, the union and the employers, like things that really impact our day to day, more so than any other type of legislation that can come from our local legislators or our national legislators, because the courts, what we do is we interpret that legislation, right? So we have the legislation, so you have the rules or the laws that come down through the legislature, through the executive branch, through the legislative branch, but we, the court, we interpret those. So we really, really, really matter. The courts matter, and the judges who sit there matter, because we are interpreting all day long based upon who we are, what we know, what we believe, what we've been exposed to. And that is why it is so important to know who you're putting on these courts.
Okay.
So I did want to just
go ahead.
Joyce,
Ms. B-Town, I just wanted to I just wanted to say something in reference to Pennsylvania, in
Okay.
reference to some of the voting, some of the logistics around voting. Um, Pennsylvania permits online voter registration. Pennsylvania permits no excuse early voting and no excuse mail in voting. In Pennsylvania, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pennsylvania does not require identification to vote, except for first time voters. Pennsylvania holds closed primary elections. Pennsylvania has tools for verifying voter registration and checking the status of provisional ballots. Now, I'm just citing something, and this is for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. However, this information is called the election governance in your particular state. For this one that I just read, it was in the for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And it's called ballotpedia.org. Ballot ballotpedia.org. And you can click on your state and get information about the primaries in your state, because the primaries are major. They're most important because they kind of control what's going to happen in November. Okay, so we need as many
Definitely.
people to come out and for the primaries in Pennsylvania, May 18th, which is a Tuesday. Election day is usually on a Tuesday. And this is what we're talking about with Judge Lori Dumas. She is running for the major court for Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. For Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, Judge Lori Dumas. So any of you who have Pennsylvania family, friends, all that good stuff, please let them know that, Judge Lori Dumas. It doesn't matter if you're in Pittsburgh, Erie, Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, um, Bucks County, blah blah blah, and all that good stuff. Philadelphia, it doesn't matter. Montgomery County, wherever you are in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you can vote for Judge Lori Dumas. So if you have family and friends, please tell them May 18th, May 18th, May 18th, and also in your state, there are primaries going on. There are people who are running for offices in your local area. Now, Lori, Judge, that at HBCUs we always say, what is it? Think globally, act locally.
Yes.
Think globally, act locally. Now, we used to have millions of, debates and all kinds of talks about what was going on in the world and blah, blah, blah. However, our professors, our mentors, our parents always said that even though that's a wonderful thing and that's good to know, but you must act locally. So we must
Yes.
be able to know what's going on in our local areas. Who are the people that are in these positions or running for these positions, and get a report card, check them out, and see what's going on, and then you all can make your decision whenever your primaries are.
Yeah, I tell
Judge, is there anything else?
yeah,
Mhm.
what I tell people, because I've been asked this question a lot, it's like, well, how do we know? Like, people really don't know all of these candidates that are running, and depending on where you are, it could be 10, 20, 30 people running at one time for different positions. Like, how do you know? And I tell people, like, you can first start with the organizations that are charged with rating these candidates, but then you got to dig deeper than that, right? Because depending on the organization, you don't really know how pure the vetting process is, what is based on, so that's a start. But you need to really know who these people are. You need to fact check what they say. People talk about experiences that they have, and they're not always as honest with the voters as they should be. Fact check, find people that that have been in front of them. We have Facebook now, we have Instagram, people are connected to everybody, and you have there's likelihood that someone that or are connected to knows this judge, whether it be personally, but professionally, and you want to know, those are the issues, those are the people you want to talk to, those are the stories that you want to hear. And not saying that any of us are perfect, but you want to know that what you're getting is not just made for TV, right? That what you're getting is someone who is sincere, who is honest, who clearly understands the law, exercises that, rules with integrity, competence, and doesn't need constant interventions, right? You need to know that. You need to know that, and you need to make sure as best that you can that you know who you're casting your vote for. And I always tell people all the time as well, sometimes it's a situation where you don't know the people. Guess what? I don't vote for anyone that I don't know. I mean, I don't. Now, unless I really trust someone I'm relying on for information, I trust that person, that's different. But if in the cold, because the ballot says, okay, there are 20 people running, you can pick 8, and you just take a stab in the dark and pick 8 people, that's not the way to vote. That's not, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not what our ancestors fought for,
Right.
as it relates to the right to vote. So we need to be intentional. We need to be make sure that we're educated in how to vote, how to decipher who to vote for, and yes, use your village, collectively think about, your values, your beliefs, and if these people that are running actually measure up to that before you use your valuable vote and voice for someone who doesn't deserve it.
I'm sorry.
Is there anybody in the chat? Oh, I'm sorry, Miss B Town. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you to repeat because this was a question on last night also that was in the chat. People were confused about as far as knowing who's actually on the ballot until you actually get there to vote. Can you tell us again exactly where to go and to be able not to vote for anybody else, but for just for Judge Laura Dumas? So let's see. Can move
Yes.
on.
So
Could
if
you
if
tell us
you are
again?
in if you are in Pennsylvania, we do have a website. You can go to judgedumas2021.com, and you can find out all of the information that we felt was relevant to my candidacy and the things that I've done, my values, my beliefs. And then there's the PA Bar Association, the Philadelphia Bar Association. There, our other groups, the Committee of 70 in Pennsylvania. Has information about the judges that are running the women, the League of Women Voters.
Women.
Has there's kind of their scorecard, if you will, and then there are some Black organizations as well that do the same thing, that you can really look up in your particular areas, because as I said, because it is a statewide race, you'll have information all across the state. Especially Philly and Pittsburgh, those are the bigger counties. But you also have in some of the, the mid-sized counties, you'll also have some scorecards based upon what they've learned about us as candidates, from other sources, but also when we've come before them and filled out their questionnaires and talked to them, in their sessions. But as I said, there's nothing better than, people who, and I would say for judges, lawyers who practice in front of them, litigants who've been in front of them, because those are the experiences that matter. Those are the experiences that you really want to learn from. You learn who this person is, because I can be nice as pie when I'm talking to you on this Zoom and seem like I'm sane and seem like I have it all together. And then I get to work, then it's a whole different story. Right. So you have to, you need to fact check, and you need to make sure that if you can, you reach out to people who would be able to give you some real core information about who these people are that are running. And that includes me. That includes anybody. Because I want people to vote for me, not because it's a personality contest, not because, you know someone that I know, but I want you to really believe that I am going to do what I say that I'm going to do, that I am real about making sure that justice is served, and making sure that people feel that when they leave my courtroom, their voices have been heard. I want that to come across, not just on the screen, not just in a meeting, but day to day in my courtroom. And I'm going to be honest with you, even outside my courtroom, because it's not easy to flip the switch. If you are who you are for the people in that courtroom, outside the courtroom, it's going to show as well.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes.
Judge Dumas, so when you first started your judgeship,
Mm-hmm.
or even when you first became an attorney, did after you got there, after you became an attorney, after you became a judge, do you still have the same passion? How many walls have you hit thinking that you were going to do one thing and the good old boy network was still in play? If you can't answer that, then
No,
no.
I can. No, I can absolutely answer it. I'll answer the first question. I absolutely still have passion for my work and for
Mhm.
the people that I serve. I'm so, like I just to have the opportunity to go to this court, which will give me a chance to impact at a much greater level, because my decisions now will not just impact one person at a time or one family at a time, but it will impact potentially the whole state of Pennsylvania,
Communities.
depending on
Yes.
what the actual decision is. To know that I have the privilege of being able to do that is, it's humbling. It's what I have worked hard for. It is because I know I've impacted lives. I know I have young people that I've even met through this process. I haven't not met, but reconnected with, that I haven't seen in years, that are grown and have gone and have families and have appeared on this campaign trail to say, oh my God, there you are. I never thought I would see you again. And I never thought I would get the opportunity to thank you, for helping me to turn that corner. So that's what, for me, this is about. And now having an opportunity to now multiply that by thousands in a decision as it relates to just education and educational funding, and making sure that my decisions represent my belief that all children should receive, an education that is fair, equitable, and just,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so to have the authority, I mean, not the authority, but just the privilege to do that, I'm telling you, I'm tickled. I really am. I'm so excited. And so my passion clearly is there, because it would have been easy for me. I'm young enough and old enough to retire and do something else. I'm fully vested. I've got my time in, I've paid my dues, as a public servant, but I still have more energy in me. I still have more fire. I still have more work to do. And so, and I'm going to tell you, yep, there have been many obstacles. There have been many times when I have wanted to just, not give up, but I've had to sit back, kind of like I was knocked, the wind was knocked out of me. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to regroup because of the networks that weren't mine, right? But
Right.
I figured out a way around every last obstacle, because every last obstacle that I encountered, it wasn't an obstacle that had anything to do with a benefit to me. It was an obstacle that prevented me from doing what I knew I needed to do for the people that I was serving.
Mm-hmm.
And that motivation in making sure that I got it done, no matter what it was,
Mm-hmm.
the obstacle was like, okay, you're there, watch this. And I
I
was able to
Mhm.
operate in spite of, right?
I
Obstacles still there.
I hear the word loopholes again. I don't know why I keep hearing that word.
But you know what? The
Thank
reason why I don't use loopholes is because loopholes has such a negative connotation.
Right.
And it's really not about loopholes, but it's being blessed enough to be able to discern things and to be able to see the whole picture. Because if you can see the whole
yes.
picture, right? You see the
Mm-hmm.
whole picture. even though one lane is blocked, you see the whole picture, and you may see an opportunity that exists around here, but you wouldn't have seen but for the ability to see the whole picture. And so for me, like I said, I don't look at it as loopholes. I just think loopholes, it seems messy. It seems, dishonest. It seems,
Yes.
And that's not what I'm talking about, because that's not, it is just the ability to be able to use the acumen that I'm blessed with, to know how to help others, regardless of what the situation looks like, or regardless of what the situation feels like. Because loopholes usually is to benefit the person that's doing.
Right.
That's not what this was about.
Okay.
Anytime I had to jump over or around or go under, had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with the person that I said, okay, I need to do this for this person. And if this regulation is in my way, or if this administrator is blocking it, or trying to, doesn't believe what I believe, or does not, think that this person is worth it, okay, you're not going to stop me, because I know what I need to do. And knowing that, being able to see the whole picture, and trusting God that, listen, I know you got me, because this is your child over here that you're using me as a vessel to help. Let's do this. And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about using the law or loopholes, or any kind of anything that's that lacks integrity. I'm looking at a situation where we have a system where that is not perfect. It's not perfect, but in spite of those imperfections, people's lives still have to be impacted, and people's lives still have to be changed. And I've been given the task, I would say, and the ability to do those things. And I just, and sometimes it's not as easy as it should be.
So you know what? This is Miss B Town. We're gonna get back to some things, but I do want to say this. I have a couple of questions for Lori. They're fun questions, y'all, just to kind of give you like a
Oh, you
little,
said we're gonna
a
break this
little
up a little
thing
bit.
about Lori.
Okay.
Yes. So, who's your favorite rapper? Tupac or Biggie?
Oh Lord.
It probably would be Tupac if I had to choose.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Whatever. Okay.
that
Calm
was
down.
yeah, I know
Whatever.
that was shade towards me, but
That's shade towards all Tupacers. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah. In her
Um,
case, yeah.
I get no love around here. So anyway, your favorite colors.
Wow. I really
Just look in the corner of your head, probably.
I do like pink and I do like green, but I liked them way before I became an AKA, I promise.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
What's your zodiac sign?
I was wondering.
What's your zodiac sign? I'm a Sagittarius, December
Oh,
baby.
Okay. Fire in the house. That's where that fire comes from. Okay. Okay.
the Sag.
I have when you retire, after after Commonwealth Court, of course. What HBCU are you going to become the president of?
Wow. So if I had, if I had the opportunity to do that, I think it would be a small school, and it would be an all-girls school.
Oh wow.
So that I could impact, young
Bennett.
ladies and help them to understand. Because I honestly, I think young men need to be, and I'm gonna sound old-fashioned.
Under a male guidance.
They do. They really do. I
They
believe
do.
that. I believe that we as women, as mothers, as sisters do our part. But after a certain point, and we're talking about college, they need to know how to become men. And I will never ever, and I know I may make some sisters upset with me, but I will never ever say that I could do that because I'm not a man, so I can't teach you
Right.
how to be a man. And so I would want to do so a small female college.
My sister was Bennett Bell.
Bennett, yeah, like a Bennett. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
like a Bennett. Like
Okay.
Spelman's too
Okay.
big. Yeah,
I was
Spelman's too big, but like a
uh,
Bennett, so we can all just really do sister. Because you know what, I wanna be able to teach young girls what it means to truly be sisters,
Listen,
right? And
Right.
yes.
somewhere,
Yes.
Right.
somewhere we lost that. We lost
Right.
that
Mm.
somewhere, and as a
Wow.
result, we have adult women who don't know how to be sisters to each other. And that's
Right.
so unfortunate. It really, really is. And so I want to take all of my pet peeves about womanhood and sisterhood and girls and how we treat each other and be able to undo all of that. Just erase it all and begin to raise up a generation of young women who
Yes.
understand the importance of supporting each other, of uplifting each other, and being okay with complimenting each other, right?
Yes.
Like we just,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah. So that's what
Yes.
that's what I would like to do that. I could do that.
Good
Good.
job.
And I have one last one. I have one last one. And this is,
Yes.
you got to get back. You got to dig into the archives for this one. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Excuses. Excuses are tools of the
Oh
incompetent,
my God.
which create monuments of nothingness. Those who specialize in them, finish the sentence, please.
Look at Nicole coming on. Look at her.
Look at
Look at her.
pop right
Look at
on.
her.
Ready. Ready.
Go
Those who
ahead.
specialize in them, finish the sentence, please.
Go ahead, Nicole.
she's
Y'all
muted.
You
You
on
muted.
mute.
muted.
You're on mute.
Seldom or ever. Just that fast it went out of my head. Seldom or ever are good at anything.
There you go.
There
All
you
right.
go, girl.
I know she
Okay.
remember
Okay,
my
There
old.
you
Xavier.
go, girl.
I have a trick question, young.
Yes.
The Constitution was, to me, the Constitution was not written for Black Americans. Uh,
Of course it wasn't.
oh, okay,
It
that's it.
wasn't.
So, how do we make it work for us if it wasn't written for us?
How do we make it work for us?
Hmm.
You elect judges who understand that because judges interpret the Constitution as well. Your legislature,
All right.
your legislators, your branches of government, people
Mhm.
who understand that and have the power and the authority to create laws that interpret the Constitution in a way that benefits or that represents justice for all. Because the way that the Constitution is written, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Okay, one more.
Mm-hmm.
The movie Simple Justice, that was basically like a biography about Thurgood Marshall and his counterpart. I heard about Thurgood Marshall in K through 12, but not until I saw that movie and I saw how those black men got into law and learned how to maneuver in the law, did I really realize how great that man was and his counterparts. Even the person, the uh the guy, well, in the movie, the judge or the lawyer that actually mentored him, we never really hear about him.
Mm-hmm.
And uh quick little side note, my dad always wanted to be a lawyer because I was very argumentative, and I said the same thing about my son who has the exact same birthday and we think a lot alike.
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought it was something too big that I could do. I didn't get interested until I got to my first time voting, which was for Barack Obama. But Simple Justice, that just showcased Thurgood Marshall and those great men that knew the law and knew how to make it applicable to what we needed.
Yep.
you go.
Unless you have to Ferguson or Plessy, that can. Ooh, okay,
Plessy
that's
versus Ferguson. Okay. Um, one last thing I did want to just let you know and share with you, Lori, is something that you did about 4 years ago, now 3.5 years ago. And I wanted you to know, and I wanted everyone else to know what you did. I saw the judge in a cafe, you know, uh, in Germantown. And one of my students at the time that I was working at a nonprofit, one of my students was getting ready to go to college, and she needed a lot of things. And the one thing she really needed was luggage. Um, and I mentioned that in passing to the Honorable Judge Lori Dumas. I got a phone call probably about maybe 3 or 4 days later. And does she still need that? And yes, absolutely. And not only did I get the luggage, I got a plethora of other things. And I shared it amongst a lot of our students who were getting ready to go to college at that time. And they, a lot of they needed a lot of things. And so I just wanted to let everyone here know, and I wanted to let you know, Judge, that the young lady is getting ready to graduate this year.
Yay. Oh,
Yes.
To
that's
God be the
awesome.
glory. That's
She's
okay.
she's going on to graduate school.
Awesome.
She wants to pledge, AKA, I'm telling all her business. God, I just, but I'm saying this to you and to Joyce and to Miss B Town and to the chat and to Nicole, because of the situation with her, and she's graduating, and it's just an honor. And I just wanted to let you know that oftentimes, we have those ups and downs, trials and tribulations. However, I wanted you to know that, and I've been monitoring, I've been watching. I go up and I visit their campus because there are about four of them that are there that I have to keep tabs on. And I just wanted to let you know, thank you, and say to you, thank you, because you've always been who you are. Of course, you've grown. Of course, you're strong. That fire, that Sagittarius. Ooh,
Yeah, you can see it. It's
however, um, you just always been about that life. And I just wanted to say thank you in front of everyone for because you do a lot for a whole lot of folks. And our people have a tendency to never say thank you. But I wasn't raised that way. Give you your roses, even though these weren't, but you know what I'm saying. Thank you. You deserve the accolades. You didn't have to do it. You heard the call. You heard my cry. You heard my conversation. And you have 5 million things on your plate, but you heard my conversation, and you went to task with it. So I just want to say thank you. We're sisters. We know each other. We've known each other. Never missed a beat with a whole bunch of our other sisterhood. So yes, we even if you don't get the HBCU that you want, we'll create an HBCU for you.
okay.
Okay?
I have enough grandkids, so I guess we can do that. So yeah, I agree.
Exactly. Okay? Because we can do that. You see that? We can
Yeah,
do that. So and I just wanted to say that I know that there's some folks that may have, I don't know, how much time do you have left
I'm good.
as Nicole?
Well, I just
Okay.
want to say that I have a 4-year criminal justice graduate from Fayetteville State who's now pursuing her master's degree, who was itching to watch this. She said it started a little
Oh,
bit too late for a workout. So it will, I hope this impacts her to even go farther. Thanks for coming and spending your time.
yes,
And if
yes.
we have no more questions from the panel, I will ask the chat. Do y'all have any questions? And I
The
do, I
chat.
do want to recognize we have a retired. When she retired, she was lead detective, and that is D Cop. That's not a name that she just chose. She
Yeah.
earned that name, and that's her right there.
Yes. Decop.
Yeah.
Yeah, decop for life more. And she actually was in Dallas when she retired. She was working in Dallas.
Hmm.
So when you say that you have a passion, she feels that. She
Oh,
knows me about that.
yeah. Thank you. I wish now I don't see anybody in the chat, but I see you guys. So is that how the
Oh, you
platform
can't see
works?
the chat.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, see
Mm-mm.
the chat even, Nicole. What y'all looking
Now,
at? What you
No, I'm just
listen,
looking at you
we
guys.
got her up here.
get back
Listen,
them,
Nicole got her up
get them
here.
Obama
Stop
phones.
Exactly.
playing, Miss
Yeah,
B Town. Stop doing that.
let's count our
Look, get back them
blessings.
Obama phones. What y'all looking at us on?
Let's
See,
count our
there she
Well,
is
blessings.
at the bottom of the chat. Well, you can always go back and replay it, as she
Oh,
just said hello again in the chat.
okay.
I
Well,
have a
yeah.
Believe
it's
you me, as she's retired, but just
uh,
only off the job.
Your
She's
Honor. I have
still
a question,
blue. So
and it's kind of messy, but I'm gonna ask. We are on the platform of YouTube, and in our sector, which is 40 fingers in the air, called the B sector, there are a lot of legal things such as doxing that goes on this platform. Is there legislature, or has the government or the government found a way to deal with certain internet crime?
Mm.
Mm.
so internet crime. Has the government found a way to deal with internet crime,
Hmm.
such as? Can you give me an example? Like what kind of crime?
So the one
Cyber.
that we experience is cyberbullying, but
Ah,
exclusive specifically it's called doxing, DOXXI.
Hmm.
what's it called? Do what?
I said the same thing when I first heard of it.
I found it. DOXING.
So
Hmm.
Yes,
doxing.
one is.
My
Yeah, one.
13-year-old just came
Doxing.
out. What's doxing mean, Meadow?
It is actually retrieving information of someone's and releasing it in with evil intent.
Oh, okay.
Malicious
Private.
intent.
Okay.
Yeah, malicious evil intent. So
Okay. Dox both public and private. Okay. Okay. So I'm seeing that. What I will say is this: is that I know that there are criminal, there are law enforcement initiatives to try to combat the negative uses of the internet.
Mhm.
But as you probably know, just as quickly as technology is created,
exactly.
there goes something else that they're chasing after. So when I work with, I didn't talk about my work with human trafficking victims, but a lot of the ways that we were able to actually find some of our young ladies and boys was on the
Mm.
internet, who were being sold, who were being commercially and sexually
Wow.
exploited right through the internet. And it took time, to actually figure it out, set up these things, make the systems work so that we could actually trace, these young people to hotel rooms and all different kind of places. I
Right.
mean, so what I will say is that I know that there all around the country are law enforcement agencies that are dedicated to just these types of crimes, to cyber crimes. Um, the issue is that as it relates to criminalization, that whole process is a legislative process and it takes time. And
Right.
so, there was a time I know in Pennsylvania, and I used to sit on a policy committee for juvenile court judges about 8 years in Pennsylvania. And so we would actually see the proposed legislation that would, that the legislature was going to be presenting. And we were asked to kind of, for those laws that were going to impact the lives of children, our commission was asked to kind of look at them and to see if they made sense if they were, if they were discriminatory, and, all this, kind of vet them. And when they began to develop the legislation or the criminalization around sexting, where kids take pictures of private parts and of each other or whatever, and then they begin to share them. Well, I was on this commission when they were beginning to actually develop this legislation. And when it passed, I made it my point to talk to as many parent groups and schools as possible to let them know that the law had changed, because there's no major campaign around legislative changes that criminalizes behavior. And that we're talking about now behavior that definitely would have been hurtful, causing, pain, emotional pain to kids, but kid behavior, right? And so parents had no idea. They would just have, the authorities just show up at their doors because they were monitoring it. If a parent said, oh, this child, sent my and the one child could have taken the picture herself or himself, and they send it, but it's them. But once somebody else sends it to someone else, it's criminalized automatically. And so, it's really, it's incumbent upon us to pay attention, to try to stay on top of what's going on as it relates to, the changes in our law, because lots of times laws are created as a response to something. Right. And the responses and the situations may not even be our situations. Like, it may not even have been something that's even necessarily, something that normally happens in our culture. But because, somebody out from somewhere else and something happened to their child or someone and was victimized in some way, then there's this major push, for laws to protect those types of victims. And then it trickles on down throughout the whole state once it's passed, and there's no major effort to let people know that the law has changed. And so those are the things that we need to be cognizant of. Those are the things that we need to make sure that we are, doing our due diligence, and if you don't know, ask. We have, it's just, and it's, it's a lot. It's, you just think about being a parent. You got to go to work, got to make sure that, your household is taken care of, the kids are in school, and now you got to worry about if the stuff that they're doing, the dumb stuff most of the time, is criminal. It's going to cause them to have to go get a lawyer to defend themselves. It's just an added layer of, of parenthood and keeping our eyes open, and for us staying woke as parents, because, the world out there is really, it is not kid friendly. Right. And we have to do, our very best to ensure that we're letting our kids, grow and develop and explore, but at the same time, we're keeping them protected from the things that are going to harm them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lori, Miss B Town. I think, the good judge has a couple of more things that are on her agenda, on her schedule.
Yeah, nice.
I did want to just say, I wanted to just say, Miss B Town, if you have something, I wanted you to say something, Miss B Town. Joyce, your last words. Nicole, your last words, and then the judge, your last words. Miss B Town.
It's my honor that you grace my platform tonight. Keep doing what you're doing. As long as you're doing it in good faith, you're only going to grow farther.
Oh, thank you.
I wish you the best. If there's anything else you ever need to announce, anything you need to do, just let TC know, hey, get the big mouth girl on the phone. Let's get it. We need a platform. And I'm here.
Thank you.
Joyce.
I really enjoyed being here. Thank you to Miss B Town for offering me the link. I can't wait. Now that I have spoken to you, I was kind of leery about what type of questions I could ask, but that one question that I asked about the Constitution, the way you answered it, just I got a whole notebook over here. I'm writing stuff down, so I can't wait till you come on my platform.
Please let me know if I can come over there. I don't want to
Oh
miss it, but
Lord.
y'all let me know. Just
I
let me know, so I'll make your flyer up and everything, Joyce. Just let me know.
thank
Oh, thank
Yes.
you, my sister. Thank you.
All
I
right.
appreciate you so much for coming on here and speaking with us. I really enjoyed it, and it makes me feel good that we have seemingly more sisters coming up through the ranks, holding positions. It's like a big explosion of black girl power, black woman power coming through these United
That's
States.
right.
So
That's
I'm proud
right.
of Army
Thank
veteran,
you.
just like TC. So I just love it.
I love it
Yes.
too. I like things like this.
That's right.
We need more
Nicole
conversations like this.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say
and
first
Miss.
of all, thank you to TC, um,
Yay.
Miss Biz Town Hester, and for just
You're
having this platform for Judge Dumas to just showcase everything that we personally know, but to get the word out there. The one thing that I'm gonna
Yeah.
say is that we all know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. I need everybody to make it their business to find 5 friends in Pennsylvania and make sure that they are going to vote. And if you like what you heard this evening and you go to her website and you see something more that you like, that you tell those 5 people to get out and vote. That's what we're going to need. May 18th, we need everyone to vote in the primary in Pennsylvania. So there's no train better than the train that we have as folks of color. So we need everyone to
Right.
tell 5 friends to go and vote on May 18th. Get out their seat and go and vote. And we'd like for you to vote for Judge Lori Dumas for Commonwealth Court 2021. Thank you.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes. Yes. All right.
I
Xavier in the house. Yes.
so much as well.
All right. All right.
Oh.
And Judge.
So I just want to say thank you. I really enjoyed this. I wasn't sure if I was going to get on, what to expect, but I'm glad to have had the opportunity to open up my world a little more tonight by learning a new platform. Speaking to women that are new, to my circle. Thank you for that because, as I said, we're learning every day. We're learning every day,
Mhm.
and so. I love the conversation. I love the questions. I love being able to empower, people with knowledge because we know knowledge is power. Without it, we're doomed. And so, thank
That's
you
right.
for the conversation, the sisterhood, the
Right.
fellowship. I really
Yes.
enjoyed it. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on and speak to you tonight. Thank you. And
Thank you so
yes,
much.
Thank
please
you
go
for
vote.
Thank
Tell
coming.
you.
somebody in Pennsylvania, go vote, please. Get on Facebook and just yell out to the people in Pennsylvania or your other IG or whatever, your social media. I met this woman. She's running, blah, blah, blah. Just tell her, yell from the mountaintops because it's going to take a village. So thank you.
We're gonna get
Oh,
Philly
we
boy to
And
finna
just
get
run
some
Nicole,
up and
grass.
Nicole,
down.
give the website one more time, Nicole. Website.
Sure. So the website is www.judgedumas2021.com. Again, that's judgedumas2021.com.
And
If you allow me, Miss B Town, I got the link. I had already pulled it up, honey. I will put it in the chat for those
Oh,
of you that need
please,
that information.
please,
Huh? Oh
please
yeah,
do.
I was doing my research. I done looked up the good judge, y'all.
I see. Look, I didn't put
Not,
the picture. TC sent me 2
hey,
pictures. I was
cause
like, I don't like this
we
picture.
don't get this. We don't get this
oh,
a lot over here.
Okay,
Do y'all know what we received today?
oh.
This is
right.
Right.
outstanding.
Hey.
I get fired up
Yeah,
about this kind of stuff. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's exciting.
That's it.
Exactly.
And thank you to the chat. Thank you, Miss
Yes.
B Town. And I really appreciate it. And if there's one thing I can say, it If you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
Right.
Oh,
Amen.
If you think
Yeah.
education is expensive, try okay.
it's
Agreed.
All right, Miss B
affordable.
Town, we're out
Agreed.
like shout. Ladies, stay on. Just
All
stay
right,
right where you are,
guys.
okay? Nicole,
Okay.
stay right where you are.
Okay.
Joyce, stay right where you are.
Okay.
Judge, stay right where you are.
Oh, okay.